Have you ever had approach anxiety? You know, the that feeling when you see a woman you're attracted to, and you hesitate, and um, and then you actually don't go up to her and tell her how you feel, or perhaps you're in a relationship and you feel pressure to get it all right, to get all the dates right, or maybe you're beating yourself up because you made your woman upset, or it may not even just be your woman, it could be any woman at all in your life that has any importance to you. So one of the things I want to share with you is the origins of this and why it's such a debilitating experience. Why that um, that part of you gives women so much power over you, and that woman's approval or the fear of her disappointment is so debilitating. So, as you might know, a lot of our issues stem from our childhood, especially the first 7 developmental years of our life. And if you think about it, most of us spend time during those years with women. At least that's the traditional route, whether it's your mother, nanny, sister, or teachers, and so forth. So most of the time, it's women that have a lot of uh, t- time raising children. Um, Now, more fathers are being involved, which is great. But for a lot of us, uh, our mother essentially was the first woman that we interacted with and that we learned about the dynamic between a man and a woman is with our mother. And if your mother was, for several reasons, maybe she was stressed, maybe this is something she learned from her family, maybe she grew up feeling that she needed some degree of control, or when she felt out of control, and whatever, for whatever reason, if a mother uses a specific tactic to control her son's behavior, then this boy is going to grow up and have intense fear of not only rejection of women rejecting him, but also fear of disappointing women, making women upset. And this basically stems to this experience of when a mother is never satisfied with her son, with what her son does or how her son is. And this essentially could be her being upset with him, and it's never good enough. A lot of criticism, perhaps. Uh, she's thinking that she's doing good because she's making him become a better person by not giving him that feeling of approval. Some unconscious reason for some women, mothers essentially, is that if I actually approve of my son, he'll stop trying. Or, um, just acknowledging you, the son's worth based on just who he is instead of what he does. So if you grew up in an environment where you were judged on what you did versus who you are, perhaps your mom was disappointed quite a bit, upset, distressed, for a number of reasons. The translation for the boy is quite simple. It's that I'm not good enough. Um, Nothing I do is good enough. I need to be better. And the son starts to self punish. So, one example I can give you from my own life is that I love Latin dancing, like salsa, bachata dance. I'm good at it. I love it. I enjoy it. People enjoy dancing with me. Yet I find it nerve wracking to go on a dance floor and to ask a woman to dance. And the reason is because when I'm dancing with her, I'm constantly checking whether or not I'm providing her with a good experience, whether she's approving of me, whether she's happy during that experience. And essentially, because of my upbringing, I feel completely responsible for how a woman feels. And as we all know, women, you know, their feelings are, very fleeting. One moment she can be happy, another moment she can be sad, and the reasons could be uh, a million reasons why. It could be something happened to her at work. It could be, like hormonal. It could be anything. But so imagining like having that pressure of always making a woman happy, it's like an impossible task, right? So so what I want to share with you is to support you. If you find yourself doing this, if you find yourself just stressed, and like if me, I kind of even have a hard time getting into relationships because of this reason. Taking a woman on a date, for instance, it becomes such a stressful process because I have to guess like what a perfect date would be, and sometimes I always feel like I have to act just right to make her happy, because God, disappointing her would be end of my life. Because as a child, you're dependent on your mother. So if your mom's love gets pulled away because you disappointed her, you quickly learn that pain of causing that love to withdraw. And then, even worse, a lot of the time, when stressful mother, doesn't know how to self-regulate her emotions, what she'll do is she'll project those emotions onto the kid. So not only am I disappointed with you as a mother, but I'm also making you responsible for my feelings, right? So not only do you feel that you've let your mom down, feel the withdrawal of love, but then you also feel the attack that you also take responsibility for. And that dynamic, that feeling pressured to make everything perfect and being responsible for a woman's feelings, and her angry feelings, her aggressive feelings, her dumping her emotions on you, like if you were taught to be responsible for that, then relationships are not going to be fun for you. Just like oftentimes they haven't been fun for me. And another thing, what happens is that you really you contribute to a woman. If she already has some of these negative qualities, you make them bigger. So a woman, is impacted how her relationship with the man, how the man relates to her. So it's what you water. Like if you water positive qualities in a person, then most likely their positive qualities are going to start to become stronger, more dominant. If you water negative qualities, then the negative qualities are going to become more dominant. So if you are always trying to please a woman, if you're uh, allowing a woman to berate you, dump her negative emotions onto you, essentially making you the trash man of her negativity, she's never going to respect you, and you're essentially creating a monster because you're enabling really bad behavior, and that's really not serving you or her in that regard. So, how to overcome this? My suggestion is to it goes back to your inner child, because it's the inner child that has these beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm responsible for women's feelings, I'm responsible for women's emotions, I have to please women. And essentially comes down to one thing, is that we feel responsible for other people's emotions. And usually it just comes from that moment when we were little, when we had no control over our environment. And that negative experience, most likely with our mother in this case, caused us to feel that we have no control over the well-being of our experience. And so that's why we turn to trying to please people and trying to be kind and nice and pleasing and courteous and all those things, and selling ourselves in the process. So the simple truth is that You are not responsible for other people's feelings. You are only responsible for your feelings. You cannot feel other people's feelings for them, and other people cannot feel your feelings for yourself. So one of the beliefs that a child grows up with is that other people are responsible for my feelings and I'm responsible for theirs. And that is a basic equation for codependency. So if you can just simply undo that one belief that you are responsible for other people's feelings. Now, sometimes you can make people happy, and sometimes you can influence people and make them upset. Now, you are responsible for your actions. So, yelling at someone, hurting someone, obviously, you have to take responsibility for that. But cannot be responsible for another person's emotions. Even if you made them upset, you essentially cannot feel those feelings through for that other person. So it's about getting really rooted inside this understanding that when someone is upset with you, when someone is disappointed, when you didn't live up to someone's expectations, this is their experience. You can trigger their experience, but it's essentially their experience. And similarly, that if someone didn't live up to your expectations, and often this happens, for example, if you feel wronged in some way, or you feel um, like you didn't get the validation that you want, or the appreciation, which is the thing for me, is gratitude. If I didn't get the gratitude, I get really upset, right? And so I want the person to show their gratitude so I don't have to feel my upsetness that I'm not being appreciated. So for me, it's important in that case to feel that pain of someone not being grateful. And it all, again, goes down to our inner child and to our childhood, and how I felt like I had to do so much and it wasn't acknowledged. And that's the pain that I need to feel. So instead of me telling someone like you're being ungrateful, which I've done many times, what I need to do is allow them to be ungrateful, if that's actually the case, and let myself feel that pain. At the same time, when someone's really upset with me for something, I can take responsibility for that if, in fact, I have some responsibility. And at the same time, I cannot feel that emotion for them. So essentially, I need to let them to feel that emotion, right? And to believe that they're capable to do that. And the way I start that process is by believing that I am capable to feel my own emotions and taking full responsibility for my own emotions. And essentially grieving that childhood experience where you never were granted your mother's approval, and your mom was never satisfied no matter how hard you tried. It was never good enough, and how painful that was for you. And I guess the final step I'll leave you with, and this is something that I've come up with and I've used many times successfully, is once you've gotten to that place of pain and you've allowed yourself to be with the pain that you experienced as a child, imagine the perfect version of your mother, right? Like the perfect version. And if you're having currently issues with your girlfriend or your wife, you can also include this exercise, imagining the perfect version of your wife or your girlfriend, so forth. And imagining that if they were to say the perfect thing to you, the very thing that you've wanted to hear your whole life, right? So for me, for example, if I imagine my 5-year-old who's just trying so hard to make my mom happy, and no matter how hard he tries, nothing's working, and it's chaotic everywhere, and it just feels so responsible for how everyone feels. So if I was to imagine the perfect version of my mother, if she would come to me and just imagine her higher self, if you will, kind of sitting with me and saying, Boria, I am so sorry that I've dumped so my feelings onto you, that when I get overwhelmed, I feel out of control, and I learned that if I withdraw my approval, I have your full attention and full your full autonomy over your behavior. And that makes me feel better and makes me feel like I can control things, and that calms me down, but at a huge cost to you. And I'm so sorry that I've taken that from you. I've taken advantage of your willingness to wanting to please me. And that's not fair to you. And I'm so sorry that I did that. You're a beautiful child, beautiful, talented child, and you're enough just the way you are. You don't need to do anything to make me happy. I am responsible for my own happiness. And I think you're super clever when you do some certain things that you do, and you've got these beautiful personality traits. And I enjoy your company without you having to do anything for me at all. And I'm so sorry that I've made you work so hard to try to get this unattainable approval that I just wouldn't give you. What I would like to do is just say, you are enough, my son, just as you are, and I love you. All right, so that's kind of how that works. Hopefully, you've got some value from this. Experiment with this. If you feel emotions, I always say, just the only way out is through. So feel everything, let it move through you, as long as it takes. I cried like 2 hours, 3 hours yesterday, just over this subject alone. So don't sell yourself short. Go for it. And if you are triggered and you feel pressured to please a woman, just realize where this is coming from. Go to your inner child and connect with the inner child. All right. Well, I wish you well. Thank you for your time. Till next time. Be well. Cheers.